So first things first, guys, what we want to do is to do our Asian sticky ribs, what we're going to want to do is salt and pepper. Okay, we're going to salt and pepper them, season them, and then we're going to get them in the roasting pan on the olive oil, and we're going to sear them real good. So let's go ahead and salt and pepper our ribs. So we use 3 to 4 pounds of pork Boston butt ribs bone in, but I'm sure you could use any kind of style rib. It's your choice. Be sure to press in the seasoning on both sides of your ribs just to make sure the salt and pepper is in there well. And then in a roasting pan over high heat, I added about 4 to 5 tablespoons of olive oil. And then once that pan is smoky hot, you can go ahead and start adding your ribs to the pan. You're going to sear them. You want to sear them real good on both sides, get some color on them. Then you're going to go ahead and add your ginger and your 2 cloves of garlic. Be mindful of how much ginger you add. That's all dependent on whether you like that flavor or not. Ginger can get a little overwhelming if you add too much. I would say my wife had something to say about it when I finished. Then you're going to add 1 tablespoon of chili flakes, half a tablespoon of Szechuan pepper, 4 to 5 star anise, a generous 1 cup of honey, which is going to add a lot of color. So be generous with the soy sauce. This is going to be your salt content. I used probably about 1/4 of a cup of soy sauce, maybe a little tiny bit less or a little bit tiny more. Remember that you're going to taste it later, so you can always add a little bit more later to add more salt. 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. And then you're going to add about 1 cup and 1/4 of dry sherry. Then you're going to take 6 spring onions. You're going to go ahead and cut those up, and you're going to add those on top of your ribs in your pot. Finally, add 1.5 cups of chicken stock. So currently we have all the ingredients in. Now what we're doing is we're letting it simmer and we're letting those flavors build, okay? It's building in that pork, it's thickening up. That dry sherry is kind of cooking off, and we're gonna be at that point where we're gonna put it in the oven at 350. We're gonna let it go for 30 minutes in there. We'll flip them, another 30 minutes, and then they'll be ready to come out, and then we'll see what we have, but we want it to thicken up more. So stick around, let's see those Asian sticky ribs and see how they taste. So while this is cooking in the oven, let's go ahead and make our rice and our ginger and hoisin sauce salad. So here's an easy, perfect rice to cook. You're gonna use 1.5 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. I use jasmine rice. I like the fragrance of that rice. Then you're gonna add pepper. You're gonna add your salt. You're gonna add 1 star anise, and then you're gonna add 1 cardamom pod that you crush between your fingers. If I was to use another cup of rice, I would probably add 1 more cardamom pod and 1 more star anise. Put it on the stove on high heat. As soon as you bring the rice to a boil, turn it down to low. Put your top on, leave it on for 8 minutes. Do not lift the lid. Perfect rice. Now for the hoisin and ginger dressing. So you're gonna put 2 tablespoons of hoisin sauce, 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, a dash of sesame oil. I used hot and spicy because I like it a little spicy. Then you're gonna grate some ginger. Be careful on the amount of ginger. Like I said, it can be overpowering. And then you're gonna whisk that all together to make sure it's all blended well. And you're done. That's it. Cut a cucumber into ribbons for the salad. Go ahead and cut spring onions in strips, and you're gonna go ahead and cut those in half. Then you're gonna cut some romaine hearts in strips and then in half. You're gonna add that to your bowl and you're gonna toss it in the dressing. And then you're finished. So at about this time, your ribs should be done. Now we can go ahead and we can get to plating. So let me talk to you while we plate this. The salad, the ginger, the hoisin sauce, it was very good. I would say it was a highlight of the plate. It goes really well with the ribs and it goes good with the rice. Kind of that back and forth flavors is really good. And it was cheap, real cheap to make. Now the rice, it came out perfect. It was fluffy, it was moist, it wasn't watery, it was perfect. You can see how it formed real well in the cups and it turned out really good. Now, when we get to the ribs themselves, the flavor was phenomenal. The one thing I would have changed is I probably would have added a little bit less ginger. It got a little strong, I would say, for myself, and my wife was not too fond of it either. So I would have used less ginger. And the one thing I would have did too is I might have used a different rib, maybe a spare rib or maybe baby backs. And I would have probably cooked them less time, maybe around 15 minutes less. That way they would have been more juicier. I would admit that they were a little bit dry. But overall, I was happy with the plates and it was a good meal and it was real cheap with the ingredients that you have in your cabinets.